Hello, my name is Gilbert, and today I will be doing a stackable toy chest. What I got here is some backing. It's very rough, and one side's even worse than the other, but I sanded it down to 220, and I'm just using it as a template to see what's going to work in my daughter's room. So I'll show you how to do it and follow along, and maybe think of some ideas or how to improve it. Just a quick note, I actually did not record the whole project. I found out quickly that thinking of things such as camera placement and actually just remembering to hit record was a pain in the butt, as opposed to just getting out there and having fun and enjoying the process. So maybe next time I can do a better job and record a project from beginning to end. So the point of a template was to have something tangible I can hold in my hands. And I took it inside my daughter's room and placed it where I would most likely like to place it, and consider things such as clearance. Is it protruding out too much and whatnot? So the process I used to join the stackable toy bins was actually biscuit joinery. I used biscuit joinery on the top, bottoms, and the sides of the toy boxes because it would allow for a straight alignment. And the wood glue I used was Type Bond 3 wood glue. And also I use brad nailings of 18 gauge for the back and for the front and the trim as well. So right here, I'm actually still cutting and manipulating the template because I went inside and put it where I wanted to put it, and thought of to take into account the trim, as it will protrude even more out. So what I'm actually doing right here is I'm getting my leftover 1/2 inch plywood, and I am tracing my template out on it and seeing how much sides I can get out of it. And I actually did not get as much as I thought I would, so I had to take a trip to the Home Depot and get 2 more sheets of plywood. So I left a gap between about a fourth in between each template trace to account for the thickness of the blade, whatever I used to cut. And I ended up using a combination of a Craig Acu cut, a table saw with a table jig, and a miter saw for the trim. So right here is a dramatic jump from just a template in the beginning, and then all of a sudden the carcasses are already assembled. And for that, I do apologize. But however, I did find some value in this footage right here. For those of you that have a small shed / shop, and you know the struggle is real, this is my setup every day. And I just do got to point out there, having wheels on things is very valuable and does help you out, as this is my routine all the time, wheeling everything out and setting up. So in that shop setup, I'm sure it was missed, but I was preparing the lumber for foresting. I look for staples and any rocks or things like that. And I do shade in 2 sides for the joining process, considering cupping and all that other stuff that goes into it. What I'm doing right here is cutting the 2x3s into rough dimensions and 2 segments because it had more of a bow than I would like to use in the joiner. So by doing this, it saves a lot of material because it is shorter and it'll be faster to get to 4S. And also what I'm doing here is I'm writing on the ends of each piece notes of where that would go on the toy bin. It helps me be more sufficient and not make any mistakes. And here I am joining it and getting it to West. If I can work this fast, man, would I be very productive and probably could do this for a living. So this is what I'm talking about when the struggle is real, when you have a tiny shop. You need things on wheels. As you see, I have my planer on wheels here. And right here, I do draw one line through my rough part for my planer so I don't get it confused on what's plane and what's not. And then after it's ready for planing, I'll scribble on that line, that part that hasn't been touched, then I run the rest through my planer. I'd also like to point out the bag that I have attached to my planer as well actually belonged to my Grizzly bench top joiner, but I had a dust collection and it works efficiently for my Grizzly, but when I tried hooking up to the DeWalt planer, the planer was far too powerful and just blew the lid off of the dust collection. So I actually swapped them, and this dust collection bag, even though not very sufficient, it collects all those big chips and it works pretty great on the DeWalt. After planing the wood, the final step I did to forest the wood was run the last side through the table saw. What I got so far, I had to shoot this in at an angle. It's not pretty, but I'm going to put some banding over that and glue it on there and let it sit. Put this one in nice and neat. An overhang right here to account for this, and of course a flush trim bit, whatever doesn't work or has overhang. And so here it is, how it looks like so far. Still working on the trim, as you can see with me pointing at it right there. And then here is the star of the show, Miss Harley Jean Aguilar. My pride and joy, my beautiful baby girl. Yes.
You're washing my car.
So right here, what I'm trying to demonstrate is getting a round over on some trim, but there is limited surface area. So what I did was I clamped another piece of trim or wood, whatever scrap wood that you have available, and it allows that router to sit and have more steadiness onto that surface area when you put two pieces of wood together like that, as opposed to this where you get a lot of rocking. And compared to this right here, well, it sits nice and even, and then you have less chance of rock and more stability while you work. So here I am trimming that awkward area right there where it's raised up on the top of the toy bin. I put the router bearing nice and tight against the trim and the edge of the router on the top so it would not rock back and forth, keeping it secure. And that raised portion right there actually was a benefit. So when the other toy bin goes on top of it, my daughter's not allowed to scoot it forward and it falling on her. So it's kind of helps with securing it into place, which was a added benefit as well.
Good idea. That goes me.
So here it is in its completeness, besides being finished, of course. You can see right there, it's nice and rounded. And then that bottom lip trim worked out so great right there. So she bends over in there. She's not going to get any, cuts or splinters or anything like that. And that's that lip I was talking about. Once it's filled with toys, of course, even better. She will not be able to pull that top stackable and onto herself, hurting her. So here's the beautiful love of my life, my best friend. She always does all the finishes and all the projects. She has an eye for finish and she makes everything look good. That's her job. I just build it and she takes over. She makes it match our house or the theme that she wants. And on this one, she chose Min Wax Wood Finish Classic Gray. And you can tell right here that the gray don't seem to be coming through. But I think after it drying and as well as during, she mixed it more and it came out great. So there it is in a nutshell, the project in completion. And I think it looks wonderful. Here it is without toys. And then you'll see soon after it's filled with toys. and it was much needed. She had, like I said, a whole bunch of bins with her stuffed animals, her dinosaurs, her Legos, her food toys, and it was taking up a lot of floor space. But with these stackables, it clears up that space, and everything was able to fit. And my daughter absolutely loves the new stackable toy bins. So, anyways, you guys take care. Until next time.